All right, today we are turning up the heat on a topic you might just think is all about chilling out. We're going to dive deep into the surprising science of saunas and find out how they can actually give your body a powerful workout right down at the cellular level. So, let me just start with this question. What if I told you that you could get some of the exact same profound benefits of a tough workout while sitting perfectly still? I know it sounds way too good to be true, right? But believe it or not, that's the incredible story our cells tell when they're exposed to intense heat.
And what's so fascinating is how your body's response to a sauna almost perfectly mirrors its response to exercise. I mean, check this out. Your heart rate can jump up to 150 beats per minute, just like it would during moderate cardio. You sweat, your blood flow ramps up, and your body even releases growth hormone. From your cell's point of view, the stress from intense heat looks almost identical to the stress from a good, hard workout. But hang on a second. How can stress actually be, well, good for you? To get our heads around that, we need to look at this really cool biological principle that basically flips our whole idea of stress upside down. It all comes down to a concept called hormesis. The easiest way to think about it is like a vaccine for stress. A small controlled dose of a stressor, in this case heat, it doesn't actually harm your body. Instead, it triggers this amazing response that builds up all your defenses, making the whole system stronger and way more resilient for the next time it faces a real threat. Now, this good stress creates a little burst of something called oxidative stress. And I know when you hear oxidative stress, you probably think of damage and aging. But in these small, controlled doses, it's not a bad thing at all. It actually acts like an alarm bell for your cells, signaling them to wake up and power up their internal defense systems. So here's how it works step by step. First, you apply that mild stress from the sauna's heat. That triggers the brief oxidative response we just talked about. And that, in turn, activates your body's deep, powerful cellular defense systems. So the end result is that your body doesn't just go back to normal, it actually overcompensates, becoming stronger and more resilient than it was before you even stepped in. So who are the key players in this whole defense system? Let's meet the microscopic champions inside your body that are woken up by the heat. First up, we've got heat shock proteins, or HSPs for short. You can think of these guys as your cell's own emergency repair crew. When the heat stress starts to damage or misfold the proteins inside your cells, these HSPs just rush in to refold them, fix them up, or tag them to be cleared out. They're absolutely essential for quality control inside every single cell you have. And listen, this isn't just about general housekeeping. This protein repair job is critically important for your brain health. A lot of the damage we see in neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's is linked to these exact kinds of misfolded proteins. So by boosting your HSPs, you're literally helping your brain keep its internal structures clean and working properly. Okay, next up is a molecule called NRF2. Now, if the heat shock proteins are the repair crew, NRF2 is the general contractor who flips the master switch for the whole operation. It's this powerful protein that gets activated by the heat stress, travels right into the command center of your cells, and just turns on hundreds of protective genes that create this incredible antioxidant and anti-inflammatory shield. And I really want to emphasize the massive scale of this. We're not talking about just a few genes here and there. The research shows that NRF2 kicks off this huge cascade, a network of hundreds of genes. These genes create what scientists call cytoprotective enzymes, which is just a fancy way of saying they act like your cell's personal bodyguards. It is a total system-wide upgrade. So, we've seen the how at the microscopic level. But what does all this cellular activity actually mean for your long-term health? Well, let's take a look at the results because they are pretty amazing. Okay, one of the single biggest payoffs from this whole cellular workout is a major, powerful reduction in chronic inflammation. And that's a huge deal because chronic inflammation is one of the key drivers behind so many modern health problems, from heart disease to diabetes. And the data on this is just so compelling. A huge long-term study out of Finland measured something called C-reactive protein, which is a key marker for inflammation in your blood. The results were just crystal clear. The more often men used the sauna, the lower their levels of inflammation were. You can see it right there. It's a perfect dose-response relationship. Now, this drop in inflammation has a profound effect on how long we live. The same study found that men who used a sauna 4 to 7 times per week had get this, a staggering 63% lower risk of sudden cardiac death and a 40% lower risk of dying from any cause compared to guys who only went once a week. Just let that sink in for a second. Those numbers are incredible.
And the benefits don't stop with your heart. The protective effects on the brain are just as stunning. Turns out, regular, frequent sauna use is associated with a 66% lower risk of developing dementia. I mean, that is just a massive reduction in risk for one of the most feared diseases of aging.
Okay, so the benefits are undeniable, and they are powerful. But how do you actually do this right? Well, the science gives us some very specific guidelines for getting these incredible results.
So, to get these benefits, the research points to a pretty clear protocol. For frequency, the biggest gains are seen at 4 to 7 sessions a week. Each of those sessions should last about 15 to 20 minutes at a temperature somewhere between 80 and 100 degrees Celsius. That's about 176 to 212 Fahrenheit. And of course, this should go without saying, but hydration is absolutely non-negotiable. Drink lots of water.
Now, a very quick but extremely important word on safety. Never, ever drink alcohol before or during a sauna session. And if you have any kind of unstable heart condition, very low blood pressure, or if you're pregnant, you absolutely have to talk to your doctor before starting a sauna routine. This is a powerful tool and it needs to be used responsibly. So when you put it all together, the hormetic stress, the activation of our cellular bodyguards, and these incredible long-term health benefits, it really leaves us with a big question, doesn't it? Could something as simple as deliberate heat exposure be one of the most powerful and maybe one of the most overlooked tools we have for building a more resilient, healthier, and longer life? The science certainly seems to be pointing in that direction.